Welcome back to our channel, World Coins History. As you knew that old is gold, but these rare $quarter coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most talked about modern American coins, the 2022 United States $quarter honoring the extraordinary Maya Angelou. This quarter isn't just a piece of metal, it's a tribute to a legendary figure, a work of art, and for some lucky collectors, a rare and potentially priceless gem. So, get comfortable and listen very closely because this story might just change the way you look at your pocket change forever. Let's start with the basics. In 2022, the United States Mint launched the American Women Quarters program. This ambitious initiative honors remarkable women who have shaped the nation's history, culture, and society. Among these inspiring figures stands Maya Angelou, a poet, author, activist, and voice of courage and wisdom who left a permanent mark on American literature and civil rights. Her quarter features a stunning portrait that captures her strength and grace, symbolizing the spirit of resilience and empowerment she embodied throughout her life. But here's where things get really exciting for collectors. While millions of these quarters were minted and released into circulation, some coins carry something extra, errors and anomalies that have made them incredibly rare and valuable. What kind of errors are we talking about? Well, for starters, there are double dies. This means that during the minting process, the coin's design was stamped twice, slightly misaligned, creating a shadow or ghost image. To the casual observer, this might seem like a minor flaw, but for collectors, a double die is a prized feature that dramatically increases a coin's worth. Then there are off-center strikes. Imagine the coin blank slipping during production so that the design doesn't land perfectly in the middle. These off-center Maya Angelou quarters show part of the design cut off or shifted, turning an everyday coin into a unique collectible. The more off-center the strike, the rarer the coin. Another fascinating variety involves the metal composition itself. Some quarters were mistakenly struck on planchets meant for different coins, like clad pennies or other denominations. These mixed metal errors are incredibly scarce and highly sought after. A quarter with a penny's copper core, for example, is a true anomaly and instantly becomes a collector's dream. Now, let's talk value. The truth is, most 2022 Maya Angelou quarters you'll find are worth their face value, maybe a little more if uncirculated. But if you happen to discover one of these rare error coins, a double die, an off-center strike, or a mixed metal piece, your small coin could be worth a small fortune. Recently, a few of these exceptional error coins have surfaced in auctions and private sales, fetching jaw-dropping prices. One rare Maya Angelou quarter error reportedly sold for the astonishing sum of $89,000. Yes, that's right, $89,000 for a single quarter. It's a staggering figure that highlights just how much collectors value rarity, history, and uniqueness. So, what should you do if you find a 2022 Maya Angelou quarter? First, don't dismiss it as just another coin. Take a closer look with a magnifying glass or loupe. Check for doubled images, strange markings, or if the design seems off-center. Also, inspect the edges and metal color carefully. Any unusual traits could indicate a minting error. If you believe you have an error coin, the next step is to get it professionally graded and authenticated by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC. A professional certification can significantly boost the coin's market value and assure potential buyers of its authenticity. For those of you who collect coins, this Maya Angelou quarter is a perfect example of why coin collecting is so thrilling. It's not just about the metal or the face value. It's about history, artistry, and the stories each coin tells. This quarter tells a story of an incredible woman, of American culture, and of the tiny surprises hidden within the minting process. Thank you for joining me on this detailed exploration of the 2022 Maya Angelou quarter. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss another fascinating coin story. And if you have one of these quarters or any interesting coin stories, share them in the comments. I love hearing from fellow collectors. Top 2, we're diving deep into a remarkable piece of American history, the 1965 United States $quarter. This coin may seem ordinary at first glance, but trust me, this particular year holds some secrets that can make it extremely valuable and highly sought after by collectors worldwide. So, listen very carefully and enjoy this deep dive into what makes the 1965 quarter a rare treasure. The 1965 quarter is a coin caught in a unique moment in U.S. coinage history. It was the first year the U.S. Mint produced quarters without silver content, marking a major shift from the previous era. Before 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper, but due to rising silver prices and the demand for coinage, the composition was changed to a copper-nickel clad. This change is not just important historically, it also creates interesting variations and errors that collectors drool over. Now, here's the catch: the transition to the new clad composition wasn't completely smooth. During production in 1965, some quarters were accidentally struck on the older 90% silver planchets. These are the metal blanks used to make coins. These silver 1965 quarters are extremely rare because officially, no silver quarters were supposed to be made after 1964. Finding a genuine silver 1965 quarter is like uncovering a hidden piece of history that slipped through the cracks. These error coins can command huge prices and are the holy grail for collectors who seek the unexpected, but that's just the beginning. There are other errors and anomalies that make the 1965 quarter especially interesting. Some coins show doubling in their design, called double die errors, where you can see a faint shadow of the letters or numbers shifted slightly. This error happened because of a misalignment during the minting process. Double die errors are always exciting because they're unique fingerprints of the minting process, making each error coin one of a kind. Off-center strikes also make 1965 quarters collectible. When the coin blank wasn't properly aligned during striking, part of the design appears cut off or shifted dramatically. These off-center coins vary in value depending on how far off the strike is, but the more dramatic the misstrike, the more valuable the coin becomes. In addition to these errors, some quarters have unusual surface textures or planchet flaws, such as cracks, clips, or laminations, where a thin layer of metal peels away from the coin. These imperfections may seem like damage, but in the world of coin collecting, they can increase a coin's desirability, especially if the flaw is rare and doesn't affect the coin's overall appeal too much. Now, let's talk numbers and value, which I know is what many of you are waiting for. Most 1965 quarters are quite common and hold just their face value or a little above, especially since they lack silver. But if you're lucky enough to find one of those rare silver 1965 quarters, or a high-grade example with a minting error like a double die or a dramatic off-center strike, you could be looking at a coin worth an astonishing $73,000. $73,000 for a single quarter. That's a mind-blowing amount for a coin many people might overlook as just spare change. But that's the magic of numismatics. Small coins with extraordinary stories and rare mistakes can transform into priceless treasures. So, if you have a 1965 quarter tucked away in your collection, or if you come across one, make sure you don't just glance over it. Examine it closely. Look for any signs of silver. The color will be noticeably different from the usual copper-nickel. Check for doubled images on the lettering or numbers. See if the design is off-center or if the surface has unusual marks. Any of these signs could mean you're holding a valuable piece of American coinage history. For collectors, the 1965 quarter is a perfect example of how fascinating and unpredictable coin collecting can be. It's a coin that tells a story of change, error, and rarity all wrapped into one small but mighty piece of metal. Top 3. We're taking a close look at a coin that might be sitting quietly in your collection or loose in your pocket, the United States quarter dollar from 1995. At first glance, it looks like any other quarter, but listen very carefully because this particular coin holds secrets that make it extremely rare and highly valuable to collectors worldwide. So, buckle up and enjoy this fascinating journey into the world of the 1995 quarter. Now, the 1995 quarter may seem like just another year in the long history of the U.S. Mint, but what sets this coin apart are the unique minting errors and rare varieties that appeared during its production. It's these mistakes that can turn a simple coin into a highly prized collector's item. Let's explore what makes this quarter so special. First, a little background. The 1995 quarter features the classic Washington portrait on the obverse side, designed by John Flanagan, which has been a staple on quarters for decades. On the reverse side, you'll find the iconic eagle with outstretched wings, symbolizing freedom and strength. This design was in use from 1932 all the way through 1998, but in 1995, some minting anomalies created a buzz among collectors. One of the most sought-after varieties of the 1995 quarter is the infamous double die error. What does that mean? During the coin-making process, a double die error happens when the coin's design is struck twice with a slight misalignment. This results in a visible doubling of letters, numbers, or images on the coin's surface. On the 1995 quarter, this doubling can often be seen on the date, the word Liberty, or even the eagle's feathers on the reverse side. To the naked eye, it might look like just a shadow, but under magnification, the doubling is crystal clear, and that's exactly what makes this coin so desirable. Next, we have off-center strikes. Sometimes, the coin blank slips during minting, causing the design to be struck off-center. These errors can range from mild to extreme, but even a small off-center strike can add significant value. Imagine a 1995 quarter where the eagle or the date is partially cut off because the strike missed its mark. These coins are rare and collectors love them because they tell a story about the minting process and its imperfections. Another exciting variation to look out for is the clipped planchet error. This occurs when the metal blank from which the coin is struck is improperly cut, leaving a coin with a missing segment or a curved clip along the edge. Clipped planchets are fascinating because they're visually obvious and each one is unique. A 1995 quarter with this error can really stand out in a collection. Now, beyond the errors, some 1995 quarters are valuable simply because of their condition. Finding a coin from this era in pristine, uncirculated condition is becoming harder and harder. Coins that show no signs of wear, with sharp details and full luster, are much sought after by collectors who want the best examples to preserve history. So, what does all this mean in terms of value? Well, while the majority of 1995 quarters are worth just their face value or a little more to collectors, those rare error coins and mint condition pieces can sell for much more. In fact, some extraordinary examples of the 1995 quarter, with prominent double die errors, off-center strikes, or clipped planchets, have recently been known to fetch prices up to $59,000. $59,000 for a single quarter. It's incredible to think that a coin you might have overlooked could be worth such a fortune. This just goes to show how the world of coin collecting is filled with surprises and the thrill of the hunt. If you think you might have one of these rare 1995 quarters, don't just stash it away. Grab a magnifying glass or a loupe and inspect it carefully. Look closely for any doubling in the letters or numbers, check if the design seems off-center, or see if there's a missing piece along the coin's edge. If you find any of these features, it's worth having the coin professionally graded and authenticated by experts. A proper certification can greatly increase your coin's market value and help you find the right buyers. For collectors, the 1995 quarter is a perfect reminder that sometimes, the most valuable treasures come in the smallest packages. It's not just about the metal or the face value, but the story behind the coin, its errors, its condition, and the fascinating history it carries. Top 4, we're going back in time to explore a truly remarkable piece of American numismatic history, the 1979 United States quarter dollar. At first glance, it might look like your everyday quarter, but listen very carefully because this particular coin holds some incredible secrets that make it highly sought after and surprisingly valuable. So, get ready to enjoy this detailed journey into what makes the 1979 quarter a rare and prized collectible. Now, let's set the stage. The 1979 quarter was minted during an interesting period in the U.S. mint's production timeline. The Philadelphia and Denver mints produced millions of these coins, and they were made with the familiar copper-nickel clad composition that we know today. On the obverse side, you'll find the iconic profile of George Washington, a design that's been on quarters since 1932. The reverse side showcases the classic eagle with outspread wings, symbolizing strength and freedom. So far, it seems like your typical quarter, but here's where things get intriguing. what really makes the 1979 quarter special are the rare minting errors and varieties that appeared during that year's production run. These errors might seem like small mistakes, but for collectors, they are the magic that turns an ordinary coin into a highly valuable treasure. One of the most famous errors from 1979 is the double die variety. This error occurs during the minting process when the coin's design is stamped twice, slightly misaligned, causing certain parts of the image or lettering to appear doubled. On the 1979 quarter, this doubling can often be seen on the date, the word Liberty, or even on the eagle's feathers on the reverse. To the naked eye, you might notice a slight shadow or doubling effect, but under magnification, it becomes crystal clear, and that's precisely what collectors hunt for. Another error that adds to the 1979 quarter's rarity is the off-center strike. Imagine the coin blank slipping just a bit during the striking process, causing the design to be partially off the coin center. This results in a quarter where part of the design is cut off, sometimes dramatically. The degree of off-centering can vary, but the more pronounced the misalignment, the more valuable the coin becomes. Off-center strikes are fascinating because they show the unpredictability of the minting process, and they are prized for their uniqueness. In addition to double dies and off-center strikes, some 1979 quarters also show clipped planchet errors. This happens when the metal blank from which the coin is made is improperly cut, resulting in a coin with a missing piece or a curved clip along its edge. These errors are easy to spot and add a unique flair to the coin, making it highly collectible. Beyond these errors, condition plays a huge role in the value of the 1979 quarter. Finding one in brilliant, uncirculated condition with full original luster and sharp details is becoming increasingly rare. Coins that have avoided wear and tear over the decades are incredibly desirable for collectors who want the best examples of their favorite coins. Now, let's talk about the exciting part, the value. Most 1979 quarters in regular circulation are worth just their face value or maybe a bit more to collectors, especially if they're worn. But when you add in these rare errors or exceptional condition, the value skyrockets. Some of the most outstanding 1979 quarters with prominent double die errors, off-center strikes, or clipped planchets have recently sold for astonishing amounts, up to $71,000 for a single quarter. It's mind-blowing to think that such a small piece of metal could be worth that much. This incredible value highlights the thrill of coin collecting, where history, rarity, and unique mistakes create opportunities to find real treasure. So, if you happen to own a 1979 quarter, or come across one, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look. Grab a magnifying glass or loupe and inspect the date and lettering for any doubling. Check if the design is perfectly centered or if it looks like it's been struck off to one side. Examine the edges to see if there's any clipping or unusual marks. If you spot any of these signs, consider having the coin professionally graded and authenticated by experts. Certification can boost your coin's market value and open doors to serious collectors. For coin collectors, the 1979 quarter is a fantastic example of why this hobby is so exciting. It's not just about the coin itself but the story behind it, the errors, the condition, and the journey it has been through all add to its value and allure. Top 5, we're spotlighting a coin that might seem ordinary at first glance but hides some incredible secrets beneath its surface, the 1967 United States quarter dollar. If you're a collector or just curious about coins that hold untold stories and surprising value, this video is going to blow your mind. So, listen very carefully and enjoy this deep dive into what makes the 1967 quarter a gem in the world of numismatics. Now, the 1967 quarter sits at an interesting crossroads in American coinage history. This was a time when the U.S. Mint was undergoing changes due to rising silver prices, which eventually led to the elimination of silver in quarters after 1964. The 1967 quarters were made of a copper-nickel clad composition instead of the traditional 90% silver content. On the face, the design stayed familiar, the profile of George Washington on the obverse and the majestic eagle with outstretched wings on the reverse. But despite looking like everyday coins, some 1967 quarters have extraordinary qualities that collectors dream of. One of the standout reasons collectors seek out the 1967 quarter is because of rare minting errors that happen during production. One such error is the double die variety. Now, this isn't your everyday printing mistake. It happens when the coin's design is stamped twice with a slight misalignment during the minting process. This causes certain parts of the coin, like the date or the word "Liberty," to appear doubled. To the naked eye, it might look like a shadow or a blur, but under magnification, the doubling is unmistakable and a sure sign of a valuable coin. Another fascinating error to watch for is the off-center strike. During minting, if the blank metal planchet isn't perfectly aligned, the coin is struck partially off-center. The result? A quarter where the eagle or Washington's profile is partially cut off. These off-center strikes come in varying degrees, and the more pronounced the misalignment, the more desirable and rare the coin becomes. For collectors, these mistakes tell the story of the human and mechanical imperfections behind the coin-making process. Clipped planchets are another type of error that collectors look for in the 1967 quarter. This happens when the metal blank is improperly cut, leaving a small section missing from the edge of the coin. Not only is this visually striking, but each clipped planchet error is unique, making it a one-of-a-kind find. Such flaws elevate the coin's collectible value significantly. What really pushes the value of a 1967 quarter even higher is condition. While many coins from this year are common in circulation and carry little more than face value, those that have been preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition are highly prized. A flawless coin with full original luster and sharp detail can command top dollar in the collector's market. Now, here comes the exciting part: value. While most 1967 quarters you find in your pocket or loose change are worth only 25 cents, those rare error coins or perfectly preserved examples can fetch prices far beyond that. Some of these extraordinary 1967 quarters have recently sold for an incredible $81,000 for a single quarter. It's astonishing to think that a coin so small and seemingly ordinary can carry such a hefty price tag. This just shows how the world of coin collecting is full of surprises and the thrill of discovering rare treasures. So, if you happen to have a 1967 quarter in your collection or stumble upon one, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look. Grab a magnifying glass and inspect the date and lettering for signs of doubling. Check if the design looks perfectly centered or slightly off. Examine the edges to spot any clipped planchets or unusual shapes. If you notice any of these features, it's worth getting your coin professionally graded and authenticated to maximize its value and attract serious buyers. For collectors, the 1967 quarter is a shining example of why coin collecting is such an exciting hobby. It's not just about the face value or metal content, it's about the stories, the errors, and the history these coins carry that make them truly priceless. Top 6, we're zeroing in on a coin that might look familiar but holds secrets that could make it an absolute treasure: the 1971 United States quarter dollar. Stick around, because this coin has rare errors and unique features that could put it among the most valuable quarters out there. So, listen closely and enjoy this deep dive into the amazing world of the 1971 quarter. Now, the 1971 quarter comes from a time when the U.S. Mint was continuing to produce the copper-nickel-clad coins that replaced the silver quarters after 1964. The design is classic. George Washington's profile graces the obverse side, a design that's been beloved since the 1930s, and the reverse side features the powerful eagle with outstretched wings, symbolizing freedom and strength. But what makes this particular year stand out are the rare minting errors and varieties that savvy collectors have come to hunt for with excitement. One of the most notable errors from 1971 is the double die variety. If you're not familiar, a double die error occurs when the coin's design is stamped twice onto the metal blank, but with a slight misalignment. This results in a visible doubling effect on key elements of the coin like the date, the word "Liberty," or even the eagle's feathers on the back. At first glance, it might look like a shadow or some smudging, but under magnification, the doubling is unmistakable, and that's what makes it incredibly valuable to collectors. But that's not all. The 1971 quarter also has some fantastic examples of off-center strikes. During minting, if the blank isn't properly positioned, the coin will be struck partially off the center, cutting off parts of the design in a way that's impossible to replicate. Some of these off-center quarters show dramatic misalignments where the eagle's wings or Washington's profile are partially missing. The rarity and uniqueness of these errors make them highly prized by collectors who want something truly special. Another error worth mentioning is the clipped planchet. This happens when the metal blank is improperly cut before it's struck, leaving a coin with a curved or straight missing piece on the edge. Each clipped planchet error is unique and easily noticeable, which adds an extra layer of desirability to any 1971 quarter with this flaw. Of course, condition plays a massive role in a coin's value. While many 1971 quarters are common and worth their face value, finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition is much harder these days. Coins that retain their original shine, sharp details, and show no signs of wear are highly sought after. Collectors will pay a premium for a coin that looks like it just came out of the mint. So, why are these 1971 quarters worth so much? It's the combination of rarity, errors, and condition that drives up the value. Most everyday quarters from 1971 will only be worth 25 cents, but those rare error coins or flawless specimens have been known to sell for astonishing amounts. In fact, some of the best examples of 1971 quarters with prominent double die errors, off-center strikes, or clipped planchets have reached values as high as $75,000, that's right, $75,000 for a single quarter. It's almost unbelievable, but it perfectly illustrates the thrill and potential of coin collecting. What might look like a simple piece of change can turn into a small fortune if you know what to look for. If you have any 1971 quarters tucked away in your collection or find one in your change, I encourage you to take a closer look. Use a magnifying glass to check for doubling on the date or lettering. Look carefully to see if the design seems off-center or if the edges show signs of clipping. And if you spot any of these special features, consider having your coin professionally graded and authenticated. A certified coin is much easier to sell and can command the best prices on the market. For collectors, the 1971 quarter is a shining example of why this hobby is so exciting and rewarding. It's not just about collecting coins, it's about discovering history, recognizing rare mistakes, and maybe, just maybe, finding a valuable treasure in the smallest of places. Top 7 and last unique coin. We're taking a close look at a coin that might seem like just another piece of pocket change but actually holds the potential to be worth a small fortune, the 1973 United States quarter dollar. If you think all quarters are worth just 25 cents, think again. Stick around because this coin has some rare features and errors that make it a prized gem among collectors. So, listen carefully and enjoy this deep dive into the incredible world of the 1973 quarter. Let's set the scene. The 1973 quarter was minted during a period of steady production by the U.S. Mint. Like other quarters from the late 60s and 70s, it's composed of a copper-nickel clad rather than the silver coins of earlier decades. The obverse features the timeless image of George Washington, which has been a symbol of American heritage on quarters since 1932. On the reverse, we see the iconic eagle spreading its wings, an enduring symbol of strength and freedom. But beneath this familiar exterior lies a world of fascinating rarities. One of the biggest reasons collectors seek out the 1973 quarter is the presence of unique minting errors, especially the double die variety. This error happens when the coin's design is stamped more than once, slightly misaligned, creating a noticeable doubling effect on parts of the coin. For the 1973 quarter, this doubling is often visible on the date, the word Liberty, and sometimes even on the eagle's feathers on the back. To the untrained eye, it might look like a shadow or smudging, but if you inspect the coin closely with a magnifying glass, the doubling stands out, and that's the golden ticket for collectors. Off-center strikes are another exciting error that can appear on the 1973 quarter. This occurs when the metal blank isn't perfectly aligned in the coining press, causing the design to be struck off-center. The result? A quarter where part of Washington's profile or the eagle's wings might be cut off, creating a truly unique piece of art. The more off-center the strike, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes. Off-center errors tell a story of the imperfect, human element in coin production, making each one a one-of-a-kind treasure. Another fascinating error collectors watch for is the clipped planchet. Imagine the coin blank being improperly cut, leaving a curved or straight missing portion along the edge of the coin. Each clipped planchet error is unique and instantly noticeable, adding a level of intrigue and rarity to any 1973 quarter that has this flaw. These kinds of errors are highly collectible because they showcase the unexpected twists in the minting process. Condition also plays a huge role in the value of a 1973 quarter. While many of these coins were circulated and are common today, finding one in brilliant, uncirculated condition, complete with its original shine and crisp details, is becoming rarer by the year. Collectors prize coins that have avoided wear and tear, and the market value rises dramatically when a coin is in pristine condition. Now, let's talk about the most exciting part, the value. Most 1973 quarters you find in circulation are worth just face value, but those with notable errors or that have been preserved in top condition can reach astonishing prices. Some of the rarest and most flawless 1973 quarters have been known to sell for as much as $73,000 for a single quarter. It's almost unbelievable, but it perfectly captures the thrill and mystery of coin collecting. A small piece of metal, overlooked by many, can be an incredibly valuable treasure when it carries a rare error or is in exceptional condition. So, if you own any 1973 quarters or stumble upon one, don't just toss it in the jar or spend it without a second thought. Take a closer look. Grab a loupe or magnifying glass and inspect the date and lettering for any doubling. Check if the design looks centered or slightly off. Examine the edges for any clipped planchets or unusual shapes. If you spot something unusual, get your coin professionally graded and authenticated. This can significantly boost its value and attract serious collectors. For all the coin lovers out there, the 1973 quarter is a fantastic example of why this hobby is so thrilling. It's not just about the coin itself, but the stories of production quirks, errors, and history that make each coin a unique piece of art and investment. Thanks for joining me today as we uncovered the secrets behind the 1973 United States quarter dollar. If you enjoyed this video and want to keep exploring the world of rare and valuable coins, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on future videos. And if you have your own stories or questions about coins, drop them in the comments. I love hearing from fellow collectors. Remember, keep your eyes sharp and your collections growing, because that simple 1973 quarter you have might just be worth an incredible $73,000. Happy collecting, everyone!